Welcome in, everybody. I am Jason Lyon, Mr. Murphy, the Bearded Truth. I appreciate you for joining in. I appreciate you for sharing this out, helping me out, throwing some support my way. Give me one moment while I also share this out and make sure that everyone is able to join in. Rich the Liberal, welcome in. Tonight's discussions, we are going to be talking a little bit about the Kavanaugh hearing, the testimonies. Marine Mom, welcome. We're going to talk a little bit about Cory Booker, self-pronounced as Sparticus, and so that's going to be fun to break down and get into that. We'll talk a little bit about Trump, of course. Trump is always something that gets brought up, so naturally we will continue on down that trail. And we will also be talking a little bit about Obama because he decided that he was going to come out and talk to the people of our democracy, as President Obama called us. It's amazing that somebody can be in office, been a president of the United States of America, and still believe that we are a democracy. Welcome in, Dad. How's it going? Almost finished sharing this out. One more moment, por favor. Ooh. Hermit, welcome. Yes, exactly. It is a republic. Yes. And I believe I even saw, who was it? Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee, even pointed out that one of the protesters at the Kavanaugh hearing actually called it a republic. And he was like, I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. There was a protester who understands that, hey, we're a republic. So it was amazing that out of the 143 participants who were arrested in the first 2 days of the Kavanaugh hearing, that we had at least one of them understand that, yes, we are a republic. What is the difference between a republic and a democracy? A democracy means that mob rules. A republic means that you have representation. Democracy is a better soundbite, but it's an inaccurate soundbite. That's why there's the issue there. Thank you for the invite, your followers. Thank you for sharing this out. Thank you so much. Democracy is mob rule, which is cool until the wolves vote to eat you for dinner. Exactly right. Mob mentality, mob rule. Whenever you have something like that, it is not in the best interest of the people. When you allow the majority to have control, you yourself are susceptible to have your rights taken away. Now, our republic, which is a constitutional republic, is supposed to be able to protect and defend our rights as we need. As we have these rights created by or endowed upon us by our Creator, and which means that the government doesn't provide these to them, and they're supposed to not only acknowledge them but also protect them. Cross-dresser Christ, welcome in. It's an interesting name. So the Kavanaugh hearing, a lot of people, depending on which news source you're looking at, you may see Kavanaugh as the number one greatest, fantastic, perfect person to come in there. And if you listen to Lindsey Graham, he would absolutely 100% agree with you on that. Kavanaugh is not perfect. Is Kavanaugh a horrible pick? No, absolutely not. Kavanaugh is a strong pick for a lot of good reasons. He is a textualist. He is somebody who wants to read the laws and read the Constitution. I feel like his hierarchy of which way things should go, I feel like he's a little bit flawed, but that's one of the issues I have with him. He is not what CNN he's not what CNN or MSNBC or Washington or New York Times or any of them. It's not what they're portraying him as either. Kavanaugh is a strong person for the Second Amendment. He's a strong person for understanding the Constitution. He's displayed throughout the hearing that he has a strong understanding of not only the Constitution, but the Federalist Papers, as well as with SCOTUS precedent. And that's something that's important. That's important for a judge. So on those grounds, he should be absolutely 100% gaining a lot of the senators' votes. Where I have issue with him, and what I have spoken about in the past, of course, is his weakness when it comes to the Fourth Amendment. He is one of those guys that believes that the government should have some workaround, some loopholes, if you will, in order to gain information about private citizens. Welcome in, General Eden. Stefan, welcome. He believes in that, and I that's disgusting on the Fourth Amendment itself. Where he is strong is the second. We can get to Merrick Garland in a second. Is the Second Amendment. He is, if you guys missed it, I would definitely recommend going in and looking at the dispute between Senator from California Dianne Feinstein and Kavanaugh. She wanted to use the emotions. She wanted to use the feelings to say, look, there are so many people that have lost their lives. So many people have lost their lives to guns. We need to do this. And he's just like, no. Oh, you're good. You're good, Stefan. He stood against it. And it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful whenever you have anyone that's willing to say, look, yes, there's atrocities that happen, but you can't say because I'm pro-gun or because I'm pro-Second Amendment in his case that I'm in favor of the violence that's occurring, right? It's this false dichotomy in which people believe that if you're pro-gun, you're pro-death. That's not it at all. I'm pro-defense. I'm pro the innocent being able to defend themselves with any weapon of opportunity. This is also coming from a man who just shot a fully automatic suppressed weapon today. I don't know. My job is awesome, more awesome than yours. I can't have it. Why aren't conservatives angry? He believes in the right of privacy, which Scalia didn't, for example. It's because it's not being portrayed by the media. That's why. That's a huge issue. America, I like my guns more than I like politicians. I love that. That's a beautiful way of viewing this, and that's the way it should be, right? We shouldn't love our politicians, regardless of which side of the aisle they're on. Conservatives aren't hearing about that, and let's be honest, right? Conservatives in the past, I'm not saying now, but in the past have been in favor of things like the Patriot Act. They're in favor of things like the National Defense Authorization Act. They're now waking up to it. They're now being warned about what's in it and the destruction to the Constitution in those parts, right? Not National Defense Authorization Act, Section 1021, where you can be incarcerated indefinitely without a trial, right? That's a clear violation. A speedy trial, that's a right. You have a right to a speedy trial as protected by the Constitution. So it's just the way that the media spins this stuff up. They don't want to give you the whole picture. They would rather have a picture in which this is the guy you want to do because you like this guy picked this guy, you have to love this guy. And it's a failure on the media, and it's failure on the populace. I like my guns and my family way more than I like the politicians, and that's the way to be. And it's we have to be objective, right? This was something I was talking about on the Common Discourse from this last Saturday. Thank you for the super hard stat. I appreciate it. You have a right to a speedy imprisonment. That's a good one. If you're guilty and you're found guilty, you get a speedy imprisonment. Which is right, isn't that? Shouldn't that be the way that it should be, right? You have a right to a speedy trial. That way, you're not sitting in limbo saying this person possibly is guilty of this crime that we're accusing him of. So we're going to hold him in limbo. Either he's guilty or he's innocent. Let's get the trial done, and either A, you go to jail quicker, or you become free and have your name cleared quicker. That should be the way it always goes. Absolutely. But we have to, it's important that we look at the whole situation. And there's a couple situations that have been coming on with this Kavanaugh thing that have made me worry. One of those things is when Kavanaugh talks about essentially the hierarchy in ways that we justify the decision-making process. He was speaking about his own, and he spoke about the Constitution, he spoke about precedent, and he spoke about the situation being objective of based on the situation, not on the people involved, the parties involved, and everything else, right? Those are three things that are very inherently important. But the problem was that he put precedent high up. He brought the precedent, and he made it seem as if precedent was more important than the Constitution. That is a huge fundamental issue if you actually know, love, endure, and embody the Constitution. If you want to be protected, right, the way that this is an issue, the way that this is a problem, is that if precedent undermines the Constitution, and you follow the precedent rather than the Constitution, you can actually lead to where the federal government, justified by the Supreme Court, can nullify the Constitution, right? For example, right? Constitution, Second Amendment. This is one that a lot of people know off the top of their head, which is why I'm going to use this. Second Amendment is the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, right? That's the second half of it. That is what the Constitution says. Now, if we look at precedent, if we look at the precedent that has been set by the Supreme Court in, say, DC versus Heller, they've actually justified minimizing it. We can infringe upon uncommon weapons. If the weapon is not common to the American people, then we can go ahead and infringe upon that. That's not the way that the text is written, but that precedent has now undermined the Constitution. And as long as Judge Kavanaugh acts in that manner, he is undermining the Constitution by following that. Now, one of the things that Chris Ann Hall brought up was there's actually a precedent still back from the World Wars in which internment camps against Japanese American citizens can be interned. That has not been overturned. So that is still a precedent today. So if he's going to go off of that hierarchy that we explained, that's really disgusting, is it not? Because there's no way to find within the Constitution of actually interning people based on their nationality of origin when they're an American citizen. So the really what the importance should be is the Constitution itself, the information, and then precedent. Okay? So the reason why you want to have the information and then the precedent is because the precedent can be wrong. The precedent can be wrong. Let's be honest, right? We've seen where there's been disgusting, egregious cases in which the Supreme Court has justified slavery, justified interning people, like we spoke about with the Japanese. They've justified a lot of disgusting things, and so that's why we got to put that down on the lower shelf. Right? It's still there. It's still something you should bounce your stuff off of. You should be able to see if that's information that will help apply to the case, which is why it's still on that tier. But at the same time, the information from that case, it should be based on, here's the Constitution, here's where the case is, here's how the case is applied to the Constitution. Let's back it up and see what the precedents of previous cases were. And then let's see if that applies to here. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't apply, and you're overturning a precedent while also justifying your decision based off the Constitution. This is the best way for our republic to function. This is the way any justice should be acting. So that's one thing that really scared me when it came to Judge Kavanaugh. Now, I'll have to look more into the Nixon case. I haven't spent a lot of time looking into Nixon and his impeachment, his impending impeachment. But so looking further into the Kavanaugh case, right? So there's a couple things that I wanted to point out. First off, there was a lot of protesters. If you guys didn't notice that, right? It was 143 people in the first 2 days. I didn't look up the numbers. I apologize for the third day to see how many that was happening. But it is absolutely disgusting how many people think that they can come into a courtroom or into a hearing and be able to speak out and act in that manner, right? I knocked on, not Laura Southern. What's the other Laura? The other Laura that's, she was going after the Las Vegas shooter and whatnot. That Laura, she was there during the Laura Loomer. Thank you. Laura Loomer, she was going in there and she was speaking out during the congressional hearing with Jack from Twitter. She stood up and she started like calling him out. She called him out on some lies that he was making. She was accusing him of lying, and she was just escorted out. That was the grounds of that. And she tried to use that and justify and say, look, there's unequal standards. I thought that was really ridiculous. I have a tweet on this. It's really ridiculous to believe that there was a separate set of standards. The protesters at Kavanaugh's hearing were arrested. She was not. She was escorted out, and that was the end of her deal. So there was definitely a double standard. One of them was being arrested, and I think rightfully so. And I believe that she also probably maybe should have been arrested. But at least she did back down, and she left out without having to be forcefully escorted. So I think that was the difference between the two. But with 143 protesters, were these people protesting on grounds of maturity, on being eloquent, on actually talking about the decisions, or were they just coming out and trying to lambaste Judge Kavanaugh in things that have already been covered and being disproven, right? It was obviously the latter. It's disgusting in the way that they were acting. It should have been denounced, and it's sad to see that a lot of the media sources were not actually talking about that. They weren't. They posted an article here and there, but they weren't coming out and focusing on it. They weren't hitting this, right? Hey, maybe we should try civility, but we do know that the left has said if civility is a white supremacy thing, right? That was recent. Yes. We'll also get to the paid ones as well. So recently we had that come out, and that was laughable by even some people of liberal descent, because it's not. Civility is something that you have in a civilized society in which they believe that we are, but for some reason we're not. I don't understand. They always falter on that. If you have an objection, there's plenty of ways. There are plenty of ways of redressing your grievances, and acting in the way that they did, shouting over people, shouting incoherent things, and just being downright disgusting is not the way to get your message heard, right? They probably should have learned this from the way that, I don't know, Colin Kaepernick has learned the same message, right? Just being disgusting or just doing things that to offend or to oppose the other side isn't going to get your message heard. It's going to actually just rile up people and make people angry. They were not paid directly by the Democratic Party. Yes, that has not been proven. So that is just an accusation. I'm not saying it's true or false. I'm just saying that that's one of the accusations out there. But yes, there is picture proof of one of the women who was being paid before she went in, she protested, she was arrested. So there is that portion of it. So it does look as if some of them were paid to the protest. There was also Linda Sarsour, who also was getting in some senators' faces, as well as demanding that she wasn't being recorded, and she was also arrested on day one. It's truly just disgusting to see things like this. It is amazing that they brought up things like he's anti-women, he's anti-women rights, he's anti-this, and he's racially profiled people, this, that, and the other. And throughout the entire time, we've seen cases, we've seen situations in which that's just absolutely untrue, and that needs to be heard. But for some reason, when you're so offended, you don't want to listen to anyone else. You don't want to listen to truth. You don't want to listen to anything that's going on out there. And going along with that, PMS, welcome in, man. Going along with that, Cory Booker, who is going to be probably running in 2020. He's saying that he is now Sparticus. Now let's go through this entire situation. So there was committee private information. That just basically means that there's a security clearance on this information. Only people within the committee are able to read or see this information. Cory Booker and his staffers decided that's not okay, and they want to distribute it. They want to open up the lines of transparency. Is his decision, right? He wants to. He wanted to release them. And one of the things that had happened was Senator Grassley and other members had cleared those to be released. So they were released after the fact, after they were already allowed. And Cory Booker comes up, starts beating on his chest. I am Spartacus. I'm standing against the world. Everyone's coming against me. I'm just releasing this information in order to provide you, the American people, everything that you want to know. Right. And it really does look as if he went through some of the articles, Controlled F, racial profiling, and he dropped one of the posts. or one of the articles, and one of these exchanges was actually Judge Kavanaugh going against racial profiling. He's saying, look, we can't go off of racial profiling. This was during a case about basically terrorism, right? We can't go off of that. We have to actually look at things. We can't base it off of race. So it's amazing that Sparticus himself came out and dropped something in defense of Kavanaugh, and he's beating his chest. I am fantastic. Kamala Harris is a joke. I'm sorry, Rich. I'm sorry. Kamala Harris is a joke, right? Here's one of the things that Kamala Harris did, right? She was like, you're thinking of somebody who you were talking to. You don't want to say who it is. And it was illegal actions of what you did. And you really want to say it. You're thinking of it in your head, and then just drops it. Right. And the reason why she drops it, this is important to understand, right? The reason why she drops it is because she doesn't utilize any details. She doesn't provide any evidence. She doesn't demand that he answers any specific question about it, but she was able to apply a narrative and be able to get people to think about it in that manner, right? That's how you win. That's how you start spinning things. That's how you spin a good, strong situation in order to twist the populace's mind. It is brilliant. It absolutely is brilliant. But it's also, when you look at that, you're saying, look, this person is so misleading. This person is somebody who cannot be trusted, because if they're going to spin untruths in order to help themselves out, that's not somebody I want, right? And we all know, like, I'm not somebody who gets involved with idolatry. So you can say, well, what about this person? What about that person? I'll say, if they do that, and I'm against that. I'm always against that. I'm against that on principle, not on person. And so that's people who cheer this idea on of misleading people in order to spin a narrative. I hope that you don't get angry or upset when somebody calls somebody else fake news, right? Because what she did was fake news by not substantiating anything, by not being able to point to something that is 100%. That is 100% just fake news. And I'm not saying fake news because Trump said it. I'm not saying fake news because it started off with Democrats. I'm not saying fake news because of any other reason than it is absolutely 100% fake, and it's being spun as real news. That's it. That it's disgusting. So she should be ashamed for herself, and people who think that that's better for the country. I think that you're doing this on partisanship rather than principle. And here on this show, we, of course, denounce partisanship. We like principles, we like consistency, and we like to have honest discussions. So Kamala Harris was another issue I saw in there, right? We already covered Dianne Feinstein trying to go after Judge Kavanaugh about the Second Amendment. We talked about, I know you're a contributing Democrat. That's fine, man. I have no problem with that, right? Because you in a lot of ways, you are liberal. In some other ways, you are progressive, and I denounce your progressive sides. But on your liberal sides, I love it. Liberalism is okay. Progressivism is destructive. So Dianne Feinstein, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, we covered them discussing things. Ben Sasse has been beautiful. Ben Sasse is actually providing the populace. Anyone who's been watching Ben Sasse is coming out and talking about the Constitution. We've had a couple members of the Senate actually asking about Federalist Papers. Which Federalist paper is your favorite? And Judge Kavanaugh's like, which one am I going to pick? Right? Asking questions like that to understand Judge Kavanaugh and the way that he puts things in a hierarchy. That's important. I think he did say 78. For some reason, 78 and 10 has been my two things. He did pick one. Lindsey Graham has been shockingly brilliant, was one comment. So with Lindsey Graham is standing there on purely partisan politics. That's all he's doing. That's all he's doing, right? You can love Brett Kavanaugh for his decisions, and that's really what he's standing on. And that's right. If you love Brett Kavanaugh and you like what he's saying, right? If you are a Republican, you're going to love what Lindsey Graham is saying. He's blowing him up. He's saying, look, you're guaranteed in, which we all know that he is. We know that a lot of the decisions and a lot of the precedent that Judge Kavanaugh has made in his previous opinions, he's going to be voting in the way that the Republican Party stands for, right? The stances of the Republican Party. And that's something that Lindsey Graham should be cheering on, because we know that Lindsey Graham is more about the party platform rather than the party itself. And so that's a good thing, right? But I liked some of the things that Lindsey Graham was saying. I don't like the message as a whole. I don't like his founding of it, but you guys know me. I'm different. Actual liberals and actual egalitarian patriots have a lot in common. Absolutely, right? Liberalism is not, as much as people want to falsely label liberalism as a disease, right? Libertarianism is kind of a derivation, a mutation of liberalism, but it's the better side, of course. Thank you for the inviting followers. It is always the better side. Libertarianism is the best of both worlds. It's better than any conservative, and it's better than any liberal, and it's certainly better than any of the disgusting ideologies such as the alt-right, such as socialism, such as communism, such as anarcho-communism, and such as libertarian socialists, right? Libertarian socialists, disgusting ideology to begin with, but to each his own. We are the best. We are the best. I'm saying this not because I'm biased, not because of anything else other than pure objective fact. Libertarianism is the goodest in all of the lands. I want an originalist. I agree with you, Extenders. I haven't seen much of a hearing because of all the screaming. The screaming has been insane. I just saw a video on the first day of the hearing. It took them 7 seconds to start protesting Judge Kavanaugh. That's amazing. It's amazing. Couldn't even get through the intro before they started protesting. But so anyways, back on track with good information. So the Judge Kavanaugh thing, he's going to get passed. He's going to get cleared. And no, this is just a bearded and jolly shirt. For those of you trying to view, there we go. It is not. I have a Mr. America bearded truth shirt in there. I will wear that on the Tuesday show. How about that? And so the Judge Kavanaugh, like I said, he's going to get selected. He's going to get nominated. He's going to get approved probably between the 53 to the 57 mark. We're going to see. It's going to be dependent upon how many Democrats are going to flip their votes. But every Republican is going to vote. Every Republican is going to vote in favor of him. It's just a matter of which Democrats are going to basically vote him in order to try to protect their seats in some capacity. Claire McCaskill might be one of those that does vote him in, but we'll have to wait and see how everything goes. But between 53 to 57, I know that's a wide margin, but you'll have to see it. In other news, former President Obama, has decided that today is the day in which he has to come back. And so this is from Politico. They had a story. They chopped up a lot of his speech, and I want to play some parts of this, and I want to break this down for you guys. I want to dissect this a little bit for you. So this was a full-throttled rebuke of Trump's presidency.
I was also intent on following a wise American tradition of ex-presidents gracefully exiting the political stage, making room for new voices.
Okay, so he wanted to follow precedent. He wanted to follow tradition, but he couldn't. He just couldn't. Why couldn't he? Well, he explained to him.
Not as an ex-president, but as a fellow citizen, I'm here to deliver a simple message, and that is that you need to vote because our democracy depends on it.
Our democracy, our mob-ruled government, by vote of majority of people, depends on him coming out to tell people to vote. Come out and vote, people. Come out and vote, because we are a democracy, not because of anything else. All right, I'm already having people asking if I can not play any more of his speech. For the first time since leaving office, President Obama said Trump's name in this. He condemned Trump, his presidency, and what he has uncorked in American politics. It did not start with Donald Trump. He is a symptom, not a cause. He's just capitalizing on resentments that politicians have been fanning for years. You did miss Sparticus. I'm sorry. Yeah. Even Rich is saying thank you for not playing more of it. He's just capitalizing on resentments that politicians have been fanning for years. It's amazing. It's almost as if like he's willing to take a little bit of credit for this. It's almost as if he's willing to take a little bit of credit for this. On maybe he was fanning a little bit of this resentment. Maybe he was acting not in accordance with the Constitution on a lot of things. Maybe he was trying to stretch the constraints on what was placed on the federal government. Maybe he was helping out with growing the divide in this country. No. Don't worry. It's just been fanning for years. It's just other people. It's not him. But don't worry. He doesn't blame just Trump. It's not just about Trump, Obama said. It's about Republicans who know better in Congress, bending over backwards to shield Trump. They're hypocrites, and they're just as dangerous to America. At times mocking them and at times laying into them, Obama said they had abandoned all that they're supposed to stand for as Republicans and as citizens of this country. I'm okay with people attacking Republicans. I'm okay with people attacking Democrats. Can we at least admit that both parties deserve mocking? They deserve mockery. They deserve being laid into. They've abandoned all that they're supposed to stand for, i.e. the Constitution, was something that they swore an oath to uphold, and something that they forgot that they were supposed to be defending, and that is the citizens of this country. That's what they were supposed to stand up for. And now they're standing in the way of people. Oh, yeah, the elite and swamps on both sides, absolutely. None of this is conservative, he continues. I don't mean to pretend I'm channeling Lincoln now, but that's not what he had in mind. I don't think when he formed the Republican Party, it sure isn't normal. It's radical. It's a vision that says our protection of our power is all that matters. It's amazing that, yes, in some Republican views, in some Republican stances, they want to grow. Billiam, I've been here, bro. Welcome back. Welcome back. Some members of the Republican Party do want to see this place grow. Thank you for the super hearts. Some of them do. Some Democrats, obviously all of them, want to see the government grow in different ways. This is not, neither one of these parties are what famous presidents, famous senators, famous congressmen and women throughout history would look at today. Look at today and say, that's the party I was hoping we would be in the future. That's the party, right? When we see Maxine Waters going out and telling people to harass Republicans, when we see Nancy Pelosi saying, I'm surprised there's not more uprisings in this country. When we go out and see just disgusting rhetoric after disgusting rhetoric being accepted, being praised, and being encouraged by the Democratic Party, that's something that the Democrats of old would not be in favor of, right? JFK would not be in favor. He wouldn't even understand what the Democratic Party stands for today. He would not. It would be so alien to him. So I agree with Obama on saying that Lincoln would look at the Republican Party of today and see that that's not what he tried to form. Because the parties when Lincoln was around would have never envisioned a government that is so large, so encumbersome to the American populace. They would never expect either one of the parties becoming this large. Maxine Waters, no. Maxine Waters deserves every bit of criticism. She doesn't deserve a penny. She deserves to just fade off in the sunset. That's what she deserves. I won't go into violent things or disgusting things about her, but she just needs to fade off and leave politics. After what she did, yes. So both parties, absolutely radical. Over the past 2 days, so he later added, over the past 2 decades, the politics of division and resentment and paranoia has unfortunately found a home in the Republican Party. So the politics of division, that has been grotesque in both parties. Much worse in the Democratic Party, because the Democrats aren't even willing to denounce Antifa. Can you imagine having a group that's violent, that's willing to go and punch people and call them Nazis in order to justify their violence, and having an entire political party say that's okay, that's not a problem, it should be encouraged, they're just against fascism? No, that's division, resentment. Democrats resent everything that the Republicans do. They say, look, we resent them because they want to get rid of Obamacare. Well, is Obamacare constitutional? No, it's not, despite what Brett Kavanaugh has justified in order to allow the individual mandate to happen. They resent, right? The Republicans resent. Democrats resent just as well. Paranoia. Now, paranoia is something in which the Republican Party does have a little bit more of, right? The Republican Party does not like government. The people within the Republican Party, not the higher echelon, the lower people, the populace that is a Republican card-carrying member does not like government. We don't want you getting into our lives. We don't want you to limit us. And when you do, we know that it's because you want to take over us, because we know that you are going to be the government that we fought against. You are the government that we had a war against, a revolutionary war. You are the government that we seceded from with our Declaration of Independence. We know that. So yes, the Republican Party is more paranoid than the Democratic Party. And it's not... That is founded in history. That is founded in logic, as opposed to the idea that let's just grow the government and the government will somehow provide better than we could have ever done in a free market. That is the ideas of the Democratic Party. That's why they're not paranoid, because they believe bigger government is inherently better for them. It's disgusting. It never works, and it never will. They just want to take more from you and provide you with less in return. The diminishing returns idea, right? If they take 10% from you, they'll be more effective than if they take 20% from you. If they take 30% from you, they will be more effective than they would be at 40%. Right? It's just the effectiveness, right? If you provide them with less, they're going to have to be more frugal with it. They're going to have to be more effective with it. And that's why I advocate to lower taxes. I want to lower spending at a higher rate because I want to actually I want to have a surplus, not a deficit each year. But that's getting into the further things. So Obama here, he brings up another good article. He brings up another good talking point real quick. Nor Obama said, should anyone feel good about the idea expressed in the anonymous New York Times op-ed earlier this week? If you guys somehow missed this, if you guys somehow missed the New York Times op-ed, this was an anonymous source that came out and wanted to say, I am within the Trump administration and I am a part of the resistance. They spoke poorly of President Trump. They said it's just not good. It's chaotic within here. There's a lot of unbecoming actions. It's not blah, 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 blah. Right? Just talking unbecoming of the Trump administration. Now, what we don't know is who this person is. Trump and his administration is saying they know who it is, but nobody's pointing out names. A lot of people are saying that President Trump made a tweet. Well, President Trump made a tweet and he said treason with a question mark. And they're saying, oh, now he's going to claim that this person is treason. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. But it's really a non-issue. Taking anonymous sources and running articles on them and taking them as truth, that's stupid. Let's be honest, right? It's stupid. Obama continued on, and basically Obama was doing the same thing. He was trying to do the same thing, not just against the Trump administration, not the same thing as the New York Times op-ed, but he was doing that not just against the Trump administration, but against the entire Republican Party. And that's fine, right? He knows that the midterms are coming up. He wants to see Trump impeached, and we know that if both the House and the Senate become democratically ran, then yes, President Trump will be impeached. And so that's kind of what is being viewed as Obama's justification why he's coming out now in September. It's not obvious, Rich. Real Clear Politics, go look at it. It's still within the margin of error either way. Yeah, GOP is pretty solid on retaining. Real Clear Politics. It's a political nonpartisan site. That's the best place to go to find out this stuff. I'm not going to dive down deep into that ideology. I'm just going to say Real Clear Politics. Go look at the election map. It really does fluctuate. It is within the margin of error either way. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. So Obama's trying to come out. He's trying to push this, right? We have a lot of Democrats right now. They're trying to spin up stories. One of the things I was thinking about with Cory Booker, why is he making the Sparticus thing such a big deal? And I think he's trying to take the focus. I just realized he's 6'4". He's trying to take the focus. He's trying to get the narrative on him, right? Because this is something positive for him, and this would also mean something negative. So he's trying to keep the media away from what should be reported onto something that's really a non-issue, really stupid. If he was actually breaking the rules, I would hope that the Senate would maintain the integrity of their rules in which they can create and actually expel him. If he didn't, then go ahead and continue on with life and just laugh at him. Everyone point and laugh at him and say, ha, he didn't break the rules, but he's trying to say he broke the rules. He's trying to get us to egg him on, and it's stupid. Right, this is how petty he is. But I'm assuming that there's stories out there right now that we are missing because we'd rather focus on stupid stories like that. I know they wouldn't even if he broke the rules, because our senators, our members of Congress as a whole, are not held to any form of standard. Right? When was the last time we saw the Board of Ethics, or Department of Ethics in Congress actually come out and punish somebody? That doesn't happen because they don't hold themselves accountable. They are a different class of people. They are above the law. They create the law, so therefore they're above the law. That's a huge issue. Now you can put it right at the same day, right? While the election's going on, bam, expel them. But they won't do that. We know that they won't. We know that they will not do that. You do it late in the day after most of the votes have come in, bam, knock them out. It's this unaccountability that's happening in DC. This is one of the big problems. This is why people hate our politics. This is why they hate our politicians. Because no one is held accountable for their actions. Laws don't mean a damn. Exactly. That's why we don't trust them. One of the things that Obama said in his speech, I'm sorry for going back to this. One of the things that Obama said in his speech was that Republicans are not in favor of cracking down on campaign finance laws. It's amazing that a man that was charged $375,000 during the 2008 election for violating campaign finance laws is saying that they need to be more strict. It's amazing. Now that he's no longer susceptible to them, he wants to make them more strict. Now, here's the way that it's supposed to be. Here's the way that the government was supposed to be founded. Anyone and everyone could be able to run. They weren't supposed to be funded by the people. It was basically a job in which you become a public servant. You become a public servant and you work for people. The expectation was basically that the rich would come in and they would actually create these laws and help out with other people. Of course, they enact their laws. They get an amendment to where they can get paid. I believe it was the 24th Amendment. And so now they're just living off the people. They do as they please. And then now they're trying to fuddle around and ensure that people don't get paid. Here's how you stop this. Here's how you stop big corporations, big entities from paying a lot of money into these people. You look at the Constitution, you look at Article 1, Section 8, everything that's not enumerated, everything that the government spends that's not enumerated in that wonderful section, Article 1, Section 8 of our wonderful Constitution, you cut it off. Now you have no power over that. When it comes to the economy, when it comes to the markets, that's not in there. So if you have no control over the economy, if you have no control over the transactions from one individual to another individual, why would all these corporations get involved? They wouldn't. They wouldn't. So if we actually abided by the Constitution, if we actually had a government that followed the shackles that have been placed on them by the states from the only democratic vote that we've ever had as a nation to enact, which is our Constitution, then maybe we wouldn't have so many issues. But instead, what the idea is that we're going to have laws. And when these laws don't work, we're going to create more laws. And then when those laws don't work, we're going to create more laws. And somehow, once we have 1,267 laws on just one singular incident, that's going to be the ticker. That's going to be the one that just perfects the world, and those laws will never be broken. Instead of thinking simplicity, right? The acronym KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. If you keep the government simple, government won't be an issue. You make government big, overbearing, overreaching, and just downright stupid with partisan politics instead of actually politics of serving the people. Utopia is just one law away. Thank you. Instead of serving the people, they just fight amongst themselves. Both parties are the same. Both parties are the same. Democratic Party and the Republican Party. They want to grow the government. They want to have more power. They want to have more control. It's just in different aspects. That's all. So I know it seems like every time we talk, every time we have a video, the discussion always comes back to, why isn't the Constitution being adhered to? Why aren't more people learning about this? Why aren't you getting an education? Why aren't you fighting against the subversion of the government in the education system and actually learning about the Constitution, its history, and the original tenor or intent of that compact? That's how we free this country. That's how we liberate ourselves, is by learning, by not allowing others to tell us what to learn, but instead learning what's important, learn your history, and learn why that history is important. And yeah, I agree. It is very difficult to understand for most Americans. That the difficultness of learning why your country is important, or learning how your country became the greatest country in the world, that should be something you should want to learn. Why is something great and why is something poor? Why is something good and why is something bad? You have to learn. You have to learn those. If you don't know what makes something good or bad, think about it, Mama. If you don't know why something is good or why something is bad, you're just living in a world of volatility. Some things are good, some things will be bad. It's just destructive. Oh yeah, we are the most powerful empire in human history, and a lot of that is unconstitutional. A lot of that is disgusting in what we have done. Absolutely agree with you. But it's fine. I just wait for the government to tell me what's good or bad. The Constitution for Dummies would be a bestseller. And that's actually, looking at the Constitution itself, it was written in a way to be borderline plain English, right? They wanted it for the average person. And maybe now we do need a Constitution for Dummies, and it would be a bestseller, because I would be standing on every street corner. I'd be like the hooker down the street, right? I would be on every street corner trying to sell this product. I would be selling it to everyone. The Constitution and emojis, because that's why it's so important, right? Because when your state says, no, I can infringe upon your Second Amendment. No, you delegated those rights. You delegated those powers to the federal government. You don't have those. You don't have that ability to infringe upon my Second Amendment rights. So you can even use the federal Constitution in order to defend against your state. Amazing idea. Yeah, the amendments did definitely change it. Yes, absolutely. Especially disgusting ones like the 16th and the 17th. And recently, right, we spoke about this probably about a month ago. We spoke about the 17th Amendment and what the 17th Amendment does. For those of you who haven't read your Constitution lately, the 17th Amendment is the way that they changed up the way senators are elected. So the way a republic is is a representative government. And so you had your House of Representatives, right? Your 435 members of Congress. Those are representatives of the people, right? That's the people. So that's why when you look at your districts, you have many districts across your state, and each one of those has one person. When you look at the Senate was originally a representation of the states. And then you have the president, who is a representation of the nation. So when it comes to the 17th Amendment, with them supposed to being the representative of the states, what that actually did was that enabled the nullification of the 9th Amendment and the 10th Amendment. So more specifically, the 10th Amendment in a little more of a higher capacity. Now, the 10th Amendment is basically saying everything that's spelled out in this Constitution is delegated to the federal government. These are all things that are delegated to the federal government. These are powers that are enumerated, but they are unlimited within that capacity. Everything that is not enumerated within this Constitution falls back to the states or the individuals. Back to the states or the individuals. So if the state has representation and they're adding in inputs, they're adding in their representatives, they're going to ensure that that 10th Amendment is protected. That's what they're going to do. But instead, the way that this fell, the way that this happened, was that they moved the 17th Amendment in, and now the senators, your state senators, your federal senators from your states are actually voted upon democratically. So now you have the House and the Senate being voted on a democratic process to be elected to represent you, the individual. So the states no longer has any representation, and that's why the 10th Amendment has been destroyed. It's been destroyed because the federal government has continued to grow at a faster rate than what it did prior to 1918 when it was put in. Now the follow-up on this, right? So we had a Democratic, we had a Republic, and we had a Republic, right? The Electoral College is a Republic form of voting. So we went from Democrat, Republic, Republic to Democrat, Democrat, or Democratic, Republic. And now, can you guess where the trend is going? Can you guess what the left wants? The left wants to make it Democratic. They want to move it to where every single one of these our representatives is voted upon by public views and opinions. This makes your government much more volatile. It makes them much more limited as to what they care about. Imagine getting rid of the Electoral College. Imagine getting rid of the Electoral College, where now you have California, you have New York, you have Washington, D.C., and you have Florida, right? You have those 4 areas. They would be able to vote or elect a president of the United States. That's all that it would take. So now the entire Midwest, gone. The South, other than Florida, gone. Alaska, Hawaii, no votes whatsoever would be necessary in order to duly elect a president of the United States. Do you think that president of the United States will give a crap about them? Do you think that they would even go there and campaign? Do you think that any laws that they would endorse or help push through the House and the Senate would affect them in a positive way? No, of course not. Because we know how these states are ran. We know how these states function. We know that in the end, it would grow the government in those areas to the detriment of the rest. This is why the Electoral College is important, and this is why the 17th Amendment should be repealed, allow the states to have their powers again, allow them to have their representation, and allow for our republic to be what it was supposed to be. You can't come in here and tell me that we're better off with having a democratic vote for our senators. It's not in any way a better country because of it. It's so important. And looking at that entire situation, looking at the way that our country is going, we need to have smarter people in office. I love it, General Eaton. I love it. If you guys missed that, General Eaton did with all emojis. He is doing the Constitution in emoji form. So it's got the Britain flag, thumbs down. American flag, thumbs up. Number 1, voice, good. 2, gun, good. 3, it looks like a British troop in a house, X. And then it's got a 4, a seeing eye, and a inspector glass, and an X. Beautifully done. He's gotten through the first 4 amendments. We'll wait until he gets through all 27. Beautiful. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, X-Senders. I appreciate that. So it's things like that, right? It's we have to understand why the country was founded the way that it was, and that's why everyone needs to sit down and read. Don't read the entire Constitution in one night like I do. Don't sit down when you're bored and just thumb through it all and flick through it on your phone or pull it up on your tablet. Don't spend all of your time obsessing over it like I do. You don't want to look like that kind of a guy. What you do want to have within your capacity is to understand it. And so just sit down, read 2 amendments. Sit down and read 1 section. And just learn about it. If you read it on some pages, you'll have little footnotes and it'll be able to tell you how things have been altered. And you can look at that and you can kind of mull it over in your head. What is actually happening with this? You can go and research it on other pages, get a better idea of, was this better? Was this worse? Why was it made? And everything else. Yes, read the federal papers, read the anti-federalist papers, read the Blackstone, read everything. Read everything you can. But don't blow yourself. Don't blow your O-ring, if you will. Take it in little by little. Enjoy it. Mull it over a little bit. Read it before you bed. So that way, scientifically, it's been proven that you'll be able to understand it, remember it better. Like just for the last 15 minutes before you go to bed, right? It's a good sleeping pill for some people. Go read a little bit. 15 minutes, you'll be knocked out. Sleep like a baby. You'll be right as rain. So I'm helping you out with your health, and I'm helping you out with understanding your country. Beautiful. You're talking about DC versus Heller? Read DC versus Heller and just understand in no way was the majority opinion in line with the Constitution, with the original intent of the Constitution. James Madison wrote a letter to pirates. I appreciate it, Ed. Love you. Madison wrote a letter to guys who owned a boat and was just like, they wrote him a letter and they're like, there's pirates out there. Can we have a cannon? And he was like, Second Amendment, go for it. Enjoy your cannons. Shoot them up, boys. Right? That was the original intent. Have anything and everything. Whatever you want to be able to carry, to be able to defend your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness, do it. That was the original intent. This is founded upon by many of the primary documents of that time. But sure, yes, read DC versus Heller. Disagree with it, right along with me. And so it's I can't urge you guys enough. Please do go out, read it, learn it, love it. I want a catapult with flaming tar balls. I'm down. Let's get it. So I want to appreciate you guys for joining in tonight. I want to thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you all for sharing this out, for getting your followers involved. Why would I? It dissented from the Constitution. Why would I not like the majority opinion? Thank you guys all for your support so much. I appreciate it. We're trying to grow here. We're trying to get the voice out there. I'm trying to provide some education on some things. If you guys enjoyed it and if you guys really do love this, please do help me out. Get this out there. Share it out. I'm not doing this to become famous. I'm not doing this to make a bunch of money. If I make money along the way, it's going right back in. I'm providing more. I'm buying new equipment. We're actually buying a new desk here soon. So everything is getting put back into the show. The show is here to provide to you. So if I'm providing something to you, all I ask, you can throw tips if you want to, but all I ask is to show support. Show support by sharing it out with a friend, helping somebody, throw it a retweet on Twitter, just help out with the growth. Help out. Let's have good discussions. Let's continue on growing this platform. So thank you. Is there a story behind my flag? That's the greatest country in the world. So that's all that there needs to be. It is it's worn and weathered, but that is only on the grounds of that's the way it was purchased. I actually like worn and weathered things. The resemblance to America is absolutely true, right? We are old, we are weathered, but that does not mean that it does not have that wonderful integrity, right? We can still be strong together. We can still unite. Everything can go together, and we'll be right as rain. That's the story behind it. It's just true American patriotism, if you will. It's not that old. Oh, we're 250 years. We are actually the longest standing government. Other than, I believe, funnily enough, I believe that the Spartans are the only longer standing government than us. And we just had Sparticus. No, it's not because of the service. The service is obviously a big thing to me, but that one's certainly not. I think we're going to be going over a little bit. So I'm not going to end the feed. All right, we can continue on talking. If you guys want to bow out, you guys are free to do so. We'll have a little bit of an after show talk because I like this. I actually do like interacting with you guys, just not on a me trying to inform you guys of what's going on. I do genuinely enjoy the discussions that we have. Yeah. You still miss Spartacus. I'm sorry. You are free to, as soon as we end this, to go back and watch the replay. Yeah, Rich is actually somebody who me and Rich actually disagree pretty vehemently on a lot of things. I would say that we're both very well educated on this. And it's we disagree, but at the same time we can actually have good discussions. And I think that's really important, right? Rich makes up a lot of points that I completely disagree with. Like he's talking about this Russia and the Republican thing, and I'm still waiting on some clear facts on this. I can see how the narrative has been spun, but I'm waiting for clear facts on that. Of course, waiting it's been taking a long time. And I think that we had probably like roughly a 20-page Word document worth of a discussion on this months ago. And not much has changed. Not much has changed at all. A couple indictments that fell through from Mueller's side, right? Indicting a Russian company, and the company's like, all right, I've read your Sixth Amendment. Let's have our court date. And they're like, no, we can't. Not yet. No, not yet. And then they, so Mueller pushed back on that one. I love it, PMS. So for those of you on YouTube world, Republicans need a candidate with a strong sounding Russian name just to troll them. Yes. That'd be funny. That would be beautiful. Yes. Liberals. Yes. Here on my show, I don't hate liberals. I don't like progressives. Fair enough. We're all individuals. We all have our own thoughts. Some of us have better thoughts than others, and some of us like the Constitution more than others, and that's okay. But we're here for an education. We're here to grow. We're here to learn. So if you guys disagree with me on a lot of stuff, I appreciate you guys. Not that I don't appreciate people who agree with me and everything. If you guys disagree and you guys are here, I appreciate that. It's beautiful to see people getting out of their conscious bias, if you will, and to challenge themselves as well as to challenge others. I think that's how we grow. That builds unity, that removes the division in this country, and that's what we all should be striving to do. Go listen to other people. Go listen to people across the aisle from you, and you will see you will become a better, well-rounded person from that. It's beautiful. And Rich the Liberal is a great guy. He is a guy that he disagrees with a lot, but he's actually is there for an honest conversation. He's not there just to call you a cuckservative. I'm not there to call him a libtard. We're there to have a conversation, and that's beautiful. So, big news that's been happening. Other than so, I want to go off on a personal story real quick, and I'll actually have a video for you guys. And this is how my day went. Yep. There we go. So I hope you guys can see that. Oh, no, there's no volume. Here we go. Oh, it's so cute. It's a semi. Just kidding. That's how my days. That's how my day went. And for those of you on Facebook world, because I don't want to leave you guys stranded either. Wow, that looks horrible. But yes, that's how my day went. So coming out there, shooting an MP5 today, fully automatic, suppressed. Oh, you can't get more America than that. So I'm should be ashamed, and I am. I'm definitely. I had both of those on actually. So I had the earbuds in deep, proper way to wear them. I actually had eye protection on. I had clear goggles on. But my stance was absolutely horrible. It was abhorrent. So normally, for those of you guys who ever want to go out shooting, right, if you're going to shoot a weapon, right, you want to actually have like an aggressive stance forward. I was standing up straight because it was an MP5. It's something that, as quoted as when you shoot it, it's like an angel kissing you. It's not that hard of a thing, and so I was just like whatever, and I was just shooting normal. Right, or not normal, but I was shooting in an improper stance. That's why the recoil was actually affecting me a little bit, because it was just literally like my upper body trying to defend against it. It was the first time I got a shot of that today. I shot it a little more after the video. I'm planning on shooting the. I'm gonna try and see if I can get to shoot the M240. That was it. Yeah. So we have an M240 out there, suppressed as well. We'll hopefully be able to get to shoot that next week. So that was the big news on that one. If you guys missed it, I did go on the Boogie Bumper show. Not the Boogie Bumper show himself, but Boogie Bumper himself. He had me on his show, The Common Discourse. I went on there on Saturday night. I've tweeted out the video, and I also posted on Facebook. I would love it if you guys would go check that out. Leave any information on that. We talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about libertarian socialism, because that's a growing platform. And so it blew his mind. I loved his reaction. And so if you guys want to see a great reaction from the great Boogie Bumper, make sure you guys tune into that one. And then other big news, I will be going back on the radio again. Hopefully we'll be able to stream that one as well. I will also be providing a link on all the platforms for you guys to be able to tune into the radio on your phone, on your computer, or wherever else, if you guys aren't able to tune into the stream for itself. Extenders, thank you. And so with that, guys, I'm actually going to be hopping off. I appreciate you all for joining in. I appreciate the support once again. I am Mr. America, the Bearded Truth, Jason Lyon. It is Friday night, which means do not drink and drive or ride with those who do. You have family and friends who care about you and love you deeply. They want you to stay safe, and make sure that you get back here for Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, when I'm going live again with y'all once again. So thank you for joining in tonight, and I'll see you guys Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I am Mr. America, the Bearded Truth, Jason Lyon.